Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. After weeks of high temperatures and clear blue skies, a bit of a relief to finally see some cloud coverage and even some rain. Let's get straight to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Ledoux to find out how long this is sticking around for. Jeremy?
Oh, well, it's all going to start changing eventually. We've still got a ton of moisture in the atmosphere. Dew points at 55, even though our temperature sits at 65. So it's cool, but it still has that kind of muggy feel out there. Overall, storms have wound down. We've allowed all of our flood watches to expire across the region. And what we have is a couple of lingering showers. Those aren't really doing all that much. A little bit of activity just south of, say, St. Mary's, down near Elk River, seeing some of those storms. Most of those up in the mountains, and that's about it. Tomorrow, we wind up much drier and even a little sunnier than we were today. No real chance of showers across the region. Wednesday, it looks like things start to change a little bit, but even then, it's an isolated shower or two. 84 degrees tomorrow. We're going to call it partly cloudy. And then Thursday looks like 82, but sandwiched in the middle is that chance of rain again on Wednesday. But if we get something, it's going to be the last one we see in a while.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Post Falls police launching a criminal case after investigators determined the wildfire burning in Camelin Park was started by a small campfire. Kyle Simchuk shows us the evidence left behind and explains why the suspect could be on the hook to pay for the firefighting costs.
Campfires are not allowed in Camelin Park, but someone decided to have one last week. The Idaho State Fire Marshal's office says this is what caused this.
It's really disappointing. Rules are in place for a reason.
Amanda Connor lives next to the park.
There was like ash getting in my eyes. It's really, really smoky.
She and her two kids were forced to evacuate Friday and had to stay with friends. Police finally let them back in late Saturday night.
It's such a beautiful area back there. I just hope that it's not ruined because somebody wanted to have a campfire.
Until we really know, we're going to treat it like a criminal arson investigation. We're going to treat it like that. Look for witnesses, look for suspects, and try to figure out what happened, exactly what happened. And once we figure that out, then we'll decide if it is criminal or not.
Post Falls Police Captain Mark Brantle is hoping witnesses come forward. He didn't find much evidence at the campfire.
And a couple cans that looked like it was beans or stew or something of that nature that they cooked on it, and that was it. There was nothing else there.
It could turn out to be a very expensive can of beans. Scott Phillips with Idaho Department of Land says firefighting costs could exceed $1 million.
The Department of Lands has a statutory obligation to pursue cost recovery on every single negligently started fire. So we are grateful to have Post Falls Police Department taking the lead of the criminal investigation on this. We're hopeful that they're going to identify whoever started it, because that will enable the Department of Lands to go after that individual civilly for the cost of suppression, which will be substantial.
They better pay for everything instead of our tax dollars, because it's not fair for everybody to have to. That's a lot of money for Idaho, for North Idaho to pay. And those poor firefighters. I have a friend that's up the road, and she was the one that had her property was on fire.
Connor's friend Cheyenne Tate shared these photos with us. She's letting firefighters use her shop as a shelter and even bought them burgers. Tate says she could never truly repay fire crews who tonight are still protecting her property.
And the threat was very real. With a fire of that magnitude, it was by grace of God that those homes were spared.
In Post Falls, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. The man accused of shooting at a Spokane County deputy and starting a high-speed chase last week faced a judge today. New Spokane County court documents show that Robert Talley shot at a deputy 3 times before driving off and leading police on a high-speed chase. And during that chase, police say the suspect drove the wrong way at high speeds on I-90, even swerving head-on toward a patrol car. The suspect eventually crashed into a building in downtown Spokane. Investigators say they found a stolen 9mm pistol in the van, along with 3 spent shell casings in the area of the shooting. Talley remains in the Spokane County Jail. He's being held there on bail. Meantime, 1 man is dead and 1 woman is hurt after a shooting in St. Mary's, Idaho. That shooting happened early Saturday morning. According to the Benoit County Sheriff's Office, they received multiple reports of gunshots at an apartment complex. That's when they say they found the man's body and another woman shot but still alive. She was taken to the hospital. The Benoit County Sheriff's Office arrested 21-year-old Jacob Anderson, who was still at the apartments. He is now facing a charge of second-degree murder. New tonight, WashDOT has started excavating the former homeless encampment off I-90 known as Camp Hope. WSDOT is working with a contractor to excavate the top 6 to 12 inches of soil before testing and removing that soil if necessary. Spokane police will also continue patrolling the area. Once that is done, WSDOT will decide if anything else needs to be done before reseeding it in the fall. That work is expected to last through August, they say. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word night to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them right to your phone. New court filings from both sides show former President Donald Trump's legal battle is just getting started. He is charged with attempts to change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. The special counsel behind the charges filed a request for a protective order, meaning that Trump cannot release evidence shared with his legal team. Trump's lawyer says this is a move to keep their client quiet.
What the Biden administration is trying to do is prevent the press from learning about exculpatory and helpful information, evidence that the people have a right to know about.
The Trump legal team submitted its court filing just before the 5 p.m. deadline. The former president's lawyers are arguing for a much narrower protective order than the one requested by the DOJ. Trump's charges come as other people are still being prosecuted for their roles in the 2021 riot. Tonight, the Justice Department released a report saying 632 people have pleaded guilty. Another 110 were convicted at trials. Just last week in Washington, Tucker Weston pleaded guilty. According to court documents, Weston shoved police officers who tried to stop him from getting into the Capitol building. Prosecutors say he eventually entered the building through a broken window. And some dramatic video from Juneau, Alaska. Take a look where a house collapsed into a river. It happened after a glacial dam break brought record floods over the weekend. Several other buildings have been damaged or destroyed, and the city has declared an emergency. Experts say that glacial outburst flooding is a direct result of climate change. An interesting story out of Long Beach, Washington tonight. The Pacific County Sheriff has severed ties with a local newspaper, saying the Chinook Observer has not been printing the truth. The paper has been reporting on county happenings for more than 100 years, but now they'll no longer be able to correspond directly with law enforcement. This after the sheriff said on Facebook that their, quote, faulty reporting is doing more harm than public service than it is serving it, rather.
I no longer want to give them little snippets of something I've said and then try and convince the people that I meant something else.
Well, the editor of the paper has been there since 1991. He says the award-winning paper has a good relationship with other public agencies and attributes the sheriff's decision to a lack of experience. Meantime, dozens of people showed up in front of the original Starbucks at Pike Place Market today. Starbucks Workers United say it's a show of support for employees to increase public awareness. Organizers say the demonstration is part of what the union is calling a bus tour to raise worker demands for the right to organize. We are told the tour has 13 cities and emphasizes the difference a union will make for workers. All right, looking ahead, we are just 10 days away from the North Idaho State Fair, happening on the Cooney County Fairgrounds starting on August 18th. This year's fair is themed Acres of Fun. You can buy tickets online right now at that address right there on your screen. It is just $7 for kids, $9 for adults. So if you are ready for some fair fun, just head there online. Sticking with North Idaho, the region's tourism nonprofits are getting nearly $2 million in grant money after another record-breaking tourism year. The Idaho Department of Commerce says the funds are to help market cities, towns, and regions as travel destinations. Overall, more than $10 million has been awarded across Idaho compared to the nearly $9.5 million last year. Well, meantime, gas prices have been steadily climbing across the country, and now Idaho has reached a disappointing benchmark. AAA says today's statewide average for a gallon of regular unleaded, $4 a gallon. That is a 10-cent increase since last week. Idaho has jumped back into the top 10 list of states with the most expensive gas, sitting in 9th place now. AAA says Idaho prices will likely stay high past Labor Day.